If you've opened a mortgage calculator lately and you saw the payment at that low 6% rate and thought to yourself, yeah, there's no way I can do this right now, I get it. But here's what might surprise you. The buyers I'm working with right now in Northeast Ohio are still getting the homes they love without wrecking that monthly payment. And no, they're not swimming in cash, and this is not a realtor only deal. If you're worried that buying right now is a mistake, just stick with me because I'm gonna walk you through exactly how you could still win in this market, even with these higher interest rates. What's going on? Anthony Esposito with eXp Realty, your local expert right here in the Cleveland, Ohio area. And if you're thinking about buying in Northeast Ohio and these rates have you stuck on the fence, this video is for you. I want to do three things for you today. First, I want to help you understand what is really happening with the higher interest rates, not just the headlines. Second, I want to show you the exact strategies buyers are using right now to still get a good deal. And third, I want to help you avoid the couple of the big mistakes that can cost you a lot of money if you do decide to wait. And if you want something that could actually set you up for success and you have step-by-step guide, complete clarity on what is going on, I put together a free home buyer's guide. If you want that, all you got to do is just drop buyer's guide in the comments below and I'll send that right over to you. First, let's just be real about one thing. You're probably not sitting there nerding out looking at an interest rate chart every single day. You're focusing on one thing. Can I afford this payment without feeling sick every single month? And maybe you started browsing on, Zillow or my site. Maybe you plugged in to a couple of numbers to see where you're sitting at. And your reaction was, oh, yeah, I'll just wait for rates to drop. And I get it. You're not crazy for feeling that way. Most people do. But the problem is that a lot of buyers, that's exactly where they stop. They just see that payment, see that rate. They never zoom out to see the big picture of what happens when everyone is waiting for that same rate. Let's walk through something simple. You're probably thinking to yourself, high rate equals bad, low rate equals good. I'm gonna wait for the good rate. And here's what usually happens instead. Is when the rates are high, you got fewer buyers out there, which means sellers are more flexible. You get more negotiating power, and you might even get closing costs covered in those concessions from a seller. Now, when rates finally do drop and it hits that magic number that you're waiting for, what happens is that home prices go up, competition increases greatly, and then you lose negotiating power. You lose any type of seller concessions that are going to be possible on that house because buyer demand picks up, supply drops down, and thus there is a seller's market. So yes, the rate may be lower, but the price you pay and the competition will end up being much higher. And most buyers I work with who decide to move forward now are playing a different game. They use the current market of where it's at now and even like the price and the terms today, and then they keep the option open to refinance later. And I'm not saying buy now works for you. What I'm saying is that you deserve more than a simple high rate equals bad timing. So let me show you how buyers I'm working with in Northeast Ohio are winning right now. And instead of chasing every pretty house that is out there, we look for opportunity. And that usually means homes that have been on the market for longer than average, homes that have recent price reductions. There's new construction where builders are offering these massive incentives and money off or, closing cost, upgrade money that they're pushing through. And then there's also the for sale by owners that are either mispriced or they're simply just tired of not getting any buyer activity on the house. And these are the situations where we can say, look, I'm a serious buyer. If we can make the numbers work, I can make this simple for you. And in this environment, that kind of buyer has power. Second, we're not just negotiating a sales price. We're negotiating how your loan is structured. And that might look like asking the seller for credit towards closing costs and your buy down points. That could be using builder incentives to either buy down your rate temporarily or even in some instances permanently. And that's also structuring your deal up front so the costs line up with the budget that you set. And instead of just saying the rate is too high, we end up asking, what can we get on the seller's side of the deal to bring down that real monthly payment? You would be surprised of how many listing agents and builders are open to this, is if it means getting a solid deal in place. The third thing is really important. Before you start picturing where the couch is going to go, we have to get clear on one number. What monthly payment feels comfortable for you? Now, this isn't the top pre-approval number. This is not what the lender says you can stretch your budget to. This is a number where you can live your life and still enjoy the little things of life, still enjoy going on vacation, still building up a nest egg, not living, basically making a house payment every single month and being what we call house poor. Once we have that, we reverse engineer everything back to that number. Price range, loan type, your down payment, and possible seller credits or buy downs. And that way, you're not shopping blind and just going into this hoping that the payments are going to work out. You're only looking at the homes that make sense, that make everything work for you. The last piece is the part that nobody talks about clearly, and you're not marrying the interest rate. Think of it as you're marrying the house. You're just dating the interest rate. And now I'm not telling you that refinancing is guaranteed, because the rates, yes, they're going down, but will they definitely drop? I can't guarantee that. And I'm not going to make a promise that I cannot control. What I'm saying is, if you buy smart in the right price range with the right protections in place, and you did get the chance to refinance later and get a much lower rate, what that does is that sets you up for complete success, because you'll get a good deal in a softer market, and then you're going to have a better payment down the road, because even when you refinance, your value is going to be that much higher, which drops that loan to value ratio as well. So even if you have PMI on your conventional, that could potentially drop off just from refinancing. And say that opportunity never shows up, well, technically speaking, you're still in great shoes, because that comfortable payment that you're okay with making, it just got that much more expensive because the housing prices still went up. And let's be honest, interest rates, they don't dramatically come crashing down. Now, if you're listening to all of this and thinking like, okay, this makes sense, but I still feel like I'm going to miss out on something, that's exactly why I got that buyer's guide in place. If you want it, just drop buyer's guide in the comments below. I'll get that over to you for free, because I want you to have complete clarity step by step on this whole process, especially with the current market of how it is right now. So big mistakes that I'm seeing that are costing buyers in this high rate market. The first is waiting with no actual plan. And the most expensive mistake that I see is, I'm just gonna wait until rates drop. Okay, when? What rate are you looking for? What price range will you be in at that time? And if prices rise before rates fall, what are you gonna do? If you choose to wait, that's great. But I want you to have it be a strategic choice, not feeling. So that means knowing your numbers, knowing what homes cost in areas that you care about, and then having a clear, if this happens, I'll do this type of plan. Because if you and I talk and it truly makes zero sense for you to move right now, I'm going to tell you, this does not make sense. You should just put it off and just wait. Maybe revisit this in a few months. I don't gain anything by pushing you into a bad decision that doesn't make sense. That's just not how I work. Another big mistake that I see is thinking that you can piece this all together with random social media or online calculators. And, those tools are fine to get a feel. But what they don't know is, they don't know your job situation. They don't know your credit. They don't know your savings. They don't know your real goals. And when we sit down, even if it's just to hop on a quick call, I'm going to establish your goals, figure out exactly what you're looking to do, and seeing, where you want to go. What is like some of your pain points that you have in your current situation? Does it make sense to move right now? If it makes sense to move right now, the next step is to talk to one of the local lenders. And you don't even have to get a pre-approval. You can just give them some of this information and they could at least guide you into what your budget may end up looking like, what monthly payments will look like. And this is where you get that strategic plan set in place to fully see, is this the right timing for me? But, that's where the stress, it actually starts to drop, is when you trade that confusion and you get complete clarity on everything. The last mistake is chasing a specific rate and ignoring the rest of the deal. And you could have an amazing rate on the wrong house, in the wrong area, with no room to grow, and you didn't get any concessions. There's no resale value to it. And that can cost you far more than the slightly higher interest rate that could be on that right home. When we work together, we look at neighborhood, schools, commute, lifestyle, your resale potential. That's always a big one because life happens. You never know what could go, down the pipeline in the future. We look at the inspection and condition of the home that you're purchasing. FYI, new builds, we're still getting an inspection when I have my clients building a brand new home. And then there's the long-term fit for you. And the interest rate is important. Yes, it is very important. But it's not the only piece that is on the board that you need to focus on. There are multiple things that are on that board to create the best possible deal and the best possible time for you. If you're still watching, that tells me something. You're not just casually scrolling. You are seriously looking into buying within the next, few months, whether it be 3, 6, 12, even 24 months. And you're hoping and trying your hardest not to screw all this up. So here's what I would tell you to do next. Get that free buyer's guide so you get complete clarity. That is a huge benefit for you. A lot of people are really loving it and they're getting that sense of, hey, this isn't so bad, gaining some knowledge. All you got to do is drop buyer's guide in the comments below. I'll get that right over to you. Second, if you want to take it a step further, I got people just like you that reach out to me every single week in your same shoes. All you got to do is contact me directly here and, you could just tell me about your situation, what you're planning on doing, how you are wanting to go about stuff. And we're going to walk through all the steps. I'm going to, find out what's your timeline, what's your pain points. Is this really the right time for you to move? Or is it something that you can wait for a year or 2 years, because I don't want you to get into a bad situation and something that's not going to make sense for you. And if you want to know how to find deals right here in Northeast Ohio, just watch the video next to me, because that will give you all the different ways to find the best deals in the current market.